Recording has started. So today we want to look at arrays. Arrays are containers that you can use to store multiple values. So in our last two classes, we looked at objects. And in those classes, I explained that an object is a container that you can use to store multiple values. But items in an object, they are stored in key value pair, a key and a value, a key and a value. So items in an object, they are stored in key value pair. This is a key, this is the value of the key, this is another key, this is the value of that key. That's for object. But when you are dealing with an array, you just dump the items directly inside the array. It doesn't need a key. You don't need a key. So to store an array, you use square braces. Unlike objects where we use curly braces, for an array, you make use of square braces. So when JavaScript sees square braces like this, it automatically knows that this is an array. So you can now store whatever you want to store inside this place. I can say, Ken. So I'm storing these three items in this array. Note that the items are separated from one another using a comma. So presently we have three items in this array. Any question before we proceed? Can we move on?
Yeah, proceed.
So next is, you see, Taye is the first item here, right?
Yes.
Kenny is the second item, Ido is the third item. So maybe, how do I display the first item? How do I display the second item? How do I display the third item? And as much, let's assume it's even longer, how do I display each item in the array? To display them, you make use of the position of the item. So if I want to display Taye, I will say display the item. The name of this array is ARR. I can give it any name. I can call it names. Since this is an array of names, since it contains names, I can just call it names. So I want to display the first item inside these names so that it can display Taye. So I'll say display names and show me the first item there. Do you understand it, son? Do you get it, son?
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
If I want to see Kenny, I will say display names, show me the second item. Show me Kenny. Then if I want to display though, I will say the names, show me the third item. Now, but this is it. When you have an array, when you are dealing with an array, the first item is located at position 0. The second item is located at position 1. The third item is located at position 2, on and on like that. So the fourth item is located at position 3. Do you understand it, sir?
Yes.
Okay. So if I want to see Taye, I will say display the item that is at position what?
0.
Good. So I'll just put 0 here. So if I say display the item that is at position 0, it will display Taye for me. So let's console it. So let's go to the browser and see the results. Taye, that's why we have Taye. Well, maybe instead of logging into the console, let's even put it on the screen, like on the HTML. So just create a div, give it an ID, and call it container. So we can now say container dot what? dot what? Mr. Eze. I want to display this inside this div. Hello, sir.
So what did you say?
I said I want to display this taye inside this div. How do I go about it? Hello, sir.
I can hear you.
Okay.
You said you want to display Taye inside the div.
Yes.
The div on the top, right?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, I think you should use container dot name bracket 0.
Ah. So container dot inner text equals to names.
Name 0 bracket.
Like this. So this we put this inside this div. So there is the results. If I want to display Kenny there, I will say 1. So we don't call it position, we actually call it index. So instead of same position 0, we say index 0. Instead of same position 1, we call it index 1. Did you get it, sir?
Okay. Okay.
Can we proceed? Any question?
My question is now: what if we have things like figures, like 2, 5, 8, stuff like that?
Okay. So if I want to display 2, just get the index. This is index 0, this is index 1, this is index 2, this is index 3. So I'll say index 3. So it will display 2.
Okay. Okay.
Can we proceed?
Yeah, continue.
Alright. So we've seen how to display, how to use index now. Next is this. Everything in JavaScript is actually an object. Everything. And in the class, when we explained objects, I explained that objects have 2 things: properties and methods. I explained that objects have 2 things: properties and methods. So, when you watch the video for objects, then this will, what about to do now will make more sense. Mr. Eze, do you understand, sir?
Yes, I do. I still need to watch the video, so
Okay.
but I'll play along.
So objects have 2 things: properties and methods. Properties, see properties as variables of an object, and see methods as functions of an object. So in the video for object, I explained what these variables or these properties, what they mean. They are like characteristics of the object. And the methods, they are, like I said, they are like functions. They are what you can do with that object or what you can do on the object. I come again. The properties are like characteristics of the object, while the methods are what you can do on the object or what you can do with the object. So first, let's look at one of the properties of this. Everything in JavaScript is actually an object. Everything. That means everything in JavaScript has properties and everything has methods, since objects have properties and methods. So everything. So same way, an array also has properties and methods, since everything is an object. So we can now look at one of the inbuilt methods of array. Some methods are built into arrays. Some properties are also built into array. One of that is the length of the array. The length of the array is the number of items in an array. So how many items do we have in this array?
Yeah, we have 6.
Okay, thank you, sir. So when I check the length of this now, it's going to give me 6. So I can say container dot inner text equals to names dot length. So this length will tell you the number of items in an array. So this will give me 6. 6. Then let's look at some methods of an array. Array has many methods. Array methods are much. I'll just look at some of the most important ones, or those ones that we're going to be using frequently. Then when we get to year 6, we look at some other ones also. When we talk about, as we proceed, we talk about HOF, and we look at some. But let's look at some, those ones that we need presently, that we need to know at the moment. One of them is push. Push is used to add an item to an array. It's used to add an item into an array. So I can say names dot push. So what do I want to push? Maybe I want to push easy. So this is going to add easy as part of this array. When we now check names now, when we say console log names, we will see easy as part of the items in this array. So let's go to the terminal and see it. So, can you see it, sir?
Yes.
Okay. We can also remove an item from an array.
Sorry, but can you use alert to still get the same answer?
Yes, sir.
Oh.
You have it.
All right, it's clear.
So next is we want to look at another one called pop. Pop removes the last item. So when we pop it, it will remove this 8. It will remove the last item from the array. That's on it. Okay. Refresh. 8 is no longer there. Do you get it, sir?
Yes.
Alright. So we use pop to remove an item. There are also other methods like slice. Slice can be used to place an item at a particular index. You can read on that. Slice. Then we'll be looking at some other ones as we proceed. But please read on slice. I will ask. I will ask in the next class. Slice. How it works. Let's move on. So for now, we've looked at how an array looks like, how to push, how to pop, and how to check the length of an array, and most importantly, the index. We've seen how to use index. Let's now go to loop. That's what we're going to start tonight, loop. Then we now see how to use a loop with an array. Loop. A loop is meant or is used to do something over and over again. You know, when you say loop, loop means you are repeating something. You are repeating something. So we have different loops in JS. We have the for loop, we have the while loop. in JS. So both of them do the same thing. They do the same thing. But we are going to be looking at the for loop instead of the while loop. That's because the for loop has syntactic sugar. Syntactic sugar means it is more pleasing to the eyes. Do you understand, sir?
Can you come in?
Okay, the for loop and the while loop, they do the same thing. Okay, JavaScript also has a third one called do while loop. We want to look at loop. Loop is used to repeat something, it's used to do something over and over again. And I said that we have three loops: the for loop, the while loop, and the do while loop. Do while. Now the for loop and the while loop, they do the same thing. But we are going to be looking at the for loop because it is more pleasing to the eyes than the while loop. Do you get it, sir?
Okay, yeah.
So let's look at
Yes.
let's look at how it works. The for loop has three components. For now, the for keyword, a bracket here, and a curly braces. We'll discuss this time. Whenever you want to write the for loop, the first thing is this for. The next is a parenthesis after it. Then lastly, a curly braces. A curly braces. So what you're going to put here is this. You're going to put a condition. Okay, first thing, you declare a variable. First thing, declare a variable. Let's maybe a equals 5. That's the first thing you do inside this place. You declare a variable there. But the variable, well, most times, usually number. And in fact, I think it should even be a number. You declare a variable here. We'll discuss why you need this variable as we move on. Next, you put a condition here. So I can put any condition. I can say a lesser than 2. A lesser than 2. So what happens is, if this condition is met, it will do whatever you have inside this curly braces. But if this condition is not met, it's not going to. Do you understand it, sir?
Yes.
So let's say, let's use console log. Go to it. So if I run this, what will I see on the browser?
You will see nothing. Like it will be false.
Good, thank you, sir. So it's not going to display anything. That's because this condition is not true. First, declare a variable. Next, write a condition. So if this condition is met, it will run the code. If the condition is not met, it's not going to. Let's move on. Now, remember, essence of loop is to do something over and over again, and we are here to even discuss that. We are here to address that. So we will now add something here. We will say a equals to a plus 1. We will change this to this lesser than 7. So let's see what happens there. A is 5, right?
Yes.
Is 5 lesser than 7?
Yes.
It's going to run the code here. That means it will console log good evening. When it is done,
Yes.
okay, when it is done, it will run this line. A equals a plus 1. That is, A will now change from 5 to what? 6. A becomes 6. 5 plus 1 is 6, right?
Yes.
When it's done, if you come to this curly braces, immediately it gets to this curly braces to go back up. Remember, essence of a loop is to do something over and over again. So when it gets to this curly braces, the end of it, it will go back to the beginning. But on going back, it will only check this condition. What is A?
A is 5. But that is okay. The last A we have now is 6.
Good. The last A is 6. So it will now check, is 6 less than 7?
Okay, sorry. Once this code is run now, if he's going back, he's going to use the last value of A to run the code again.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah, 6 answers.
Okay. So
7
6,
then.
okay, yeah, 6 is lesser than 7. So it will run this
Yes.
code again. It will console log good evening. A equals to A plus 1. A becomes 7. On get to the replace, it will go back up again. Is 7 lesser than 7?
No.
So it will terminate the loop. It will not do anything again. So that means we are going to say good evening twice in the console. Do you understand?
Okay.
Any questions, sir?
No, yes, no question.
So next is, what if this is not there? What do you think we are going to get?
We'll have good evening.
Now, if this is not there,
1.
is that?
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, I said once the one you deleted is not there, you will have good evening.
How many times?
You have it once.
Okay, thank you, sir. Now let's look at it together and see what actually happens. A is 5, right?
Yes.
Is 5 less than 7?
Exactly.
It will run the code here. It will console log good evening. When
Yes.
it's done, it will come to the end of this place. When it gets to the end of this place, it will go back up. What is A less than 7? What is A?
A is still 5.
Correct. A is still 5. 5 is less than 7.
7.
So it meets this condition. It will come again and run this code. Console log good evening. It will get to this place and go back up. Is A less than 7?
It keeps running the code till infinity.
Yes, sir.
It's alright.
So that's why we have to write this A equals to A plus 1, so that a time will come when this condition will be false, so that it can terminate this loop. So what you are doing with this line is to somehow close the gap between this and this value. So we are stylishly closing the gap, so that a time will now come when this condition will now be false and it will terminate the whole loop. Do you get it?
Yeah.
Now, this is not, you can't, now you might ask that, what if I use A plus 1? A plus 1 will not work. Just by that, A plus 1 is different from A equals to A plus 1. The reason is this. A is 5. Is 5 lesser than 7? Yes. Console log good evening. It's a console log good evening. A plus 1, this is 6. But the value of A still remains 5, don't forget. A plus 1 is 6, yes. But you are not setting it back. Do you understand it, sir?
Yeah.
So you are not setting, A still remains 5, even though A plus 1 is 6. When it gets here, it will come back and check again. Is 5 less than 7? Yes. It will log this again. Then A plus 1, this is 6, but A still remains 5. It will come here, do this again until infinity. So that's why you need to write something like this. A equals to A plus 1. You can shorten it as A plus plus. I'm sure the instructor must have taught you the meaning of this A plus plus. A minus minus. Post increment.
Yeah. Plus post increment and decrement.
Yes. So let's move on. Let's sound off. For today. Now, assignments. I want you to write the code that will log 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 to 10. 3 to 10. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. One by one to the console using a loop. I come again. I take code that will log 3 to the console, 4, 5. What I mean is this. I will stop presenting a bit. Okay. So the assignment is this. Write the codes that will display 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And you notice that each of them was displayed on line 15, each of them. So write a code using the knowledge of the for loop that you've learned to display this, to display numbers from 3 to 10, all of them done on the same line using the knowledge of for loop that you've done. Thank you so much.